My father-in-law was a missionary, and they have lived in Hong Kong and now Thailand for 15 years. And every other year, they were allowed to come back to the United States for about a month, and we would have what I'm calling a Whitty Palooza, that the whole Whitty family, my wife and her 4 siblings, and all the grandkids, whoever was able to come, we would always rent a house every other year and hang out for a week and just bond as a family. And my middle 2 kids woke up at 6 in the morning on the day before, and we went out to the pool already at like 6:15. They swam almost the entire day. My brother-in-law Micah invented a game for the family where all the grandkids would have to guess which aunt or uncle was being described with the question, and then he had a face of each of the aunts and uncles cut out with popsicle sticks. You had to raise the right person's face. I mean, we just had a blast the whole day. At around 9 o'clock, I went to bed with my 2 middle children. The youngest had taken a nap, and so she was not tired. She stayed up with my wife, and most of the family went downstairs and hung out some longer.
So let's talk about your perspective a little bit. What prompted you, Karl, to realize something was wrong in the middle of the night? How did this all begin?
Right. So in the middle of the night, the rental bed was a little bit narrower than what we're used to. I bumped into my wife, and she startled. I was sure that she was going to scream. I tried to calm her down, but sure enough, she screamed like she does when I bump her in the night. And then I decided I might as well go to the bathroom. I'm wide awake, right? When someone screams, your adrenaline kicks in. I couldn't fall right back asleep. I heard her go to the bathroom. I just couldn't get comfortable. I laid on each side. I rolled from my right side back to my left side, and I faced out the window, and I saw light coming in the window that was flickering, and I realized it was a fire. I thought maybe the woods were on fire. We had had a campfire earlier in the day, and I thought, oh no, did somebody not put out that fire? I was thinking we were all going to get out of this house safely. I put on my glasses, I jumped out of bed, and I started yelling fire as loud as I could. My wife and I were both in the room with 3 of our children, and she was going to wake up Zach and Mercy, our younger 2, and I was going to wake up Lena, who was sleeping on the bunk bed above us. I walked around to the side that had the stairs, which was the side I slept on, and just started screaming fire as loud as I could. But she was not waking up, so I kept yelling it. I had not given a thought to anyone else in the house at this point. I was only thinking about Lena, but luckily my yelling did end up waking up some other people.
You still didn't think it was necessarily anything catastrophic per se, but you were worried about getting people's attention. When did you realize this was something more?
I really thought we were just all going to go down the stairs and file out the back door of the house, and that's what we started doing. I was kind of last in line to go out the stairs. We got the kids out the door. Hannah handed Mercy to Grandpa. I was kind of last, so I couldn't see out the door exactly, but my understanding is that Uncle Steve got his 2 older daughters down the stairs, and then Uncle Micah grabbed our son Zach and kind of pulled him down the stairs. And then I believe Karis misspoke. Aunt Karis was probably next going down the stairs, and then I heard her scream, "We can't go down this way anymore," that the stairs had already started to burn or smoke was too thick or something. She didn't feel it was an option, and she said, "We need to run back up."
So at this point, the remaining individuals there on that second floor, like a landing at the top of the stairs, without an exit, easy exit available to them at that point.
Right.
What was most disorienting in this moment? Was it just the sheer panic? Was it the smoke? Was it the darkness of night? Was it the heat of the fire? What was the disorienting piece at that moment? Or was it not disorienting at that moment?
I think at that point, I still thought it would be okay somehow. I mean, people were yelling like break the windows, and I was thinking, I'll just crawl over to a window, we'll get out, it'll be fine. I didn't realize who had or hadn't gone down the stairs.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that that was the last I ever saw my daughter, Lena. I have no idea where she went after that. I know she died in that room according to the medical examiner, but I don't know where in that room she was.
Did you end up breaking a window, and what was the what was the next kind of piece of this story as you move forward?
So I thought to crawl. For some reason, no one else thought of that. I didn't think to yell it. So I crawled. There was a table in the middle of the room. I crawled to the far side, and my father-in-law, carrying Mercy, was on the closer side of the table. And when people were yelling, break a window, it sounded really great. He threw a vase at the window to try to break it. It bounced off and it landed right in front of me. I picked it up and I smashed the window with my right hand. And I was thinking the smoke is gonna like clear up when I break this window, and we're gonna just file orderly out this window. It's gonna be great. And instead, I just saw broken glass everywhere, and when I smashed the window, the room just like flashed or whatever, that the smoke like instantaneously combusted with the oxygen that got mixed in, so all the hair was burned off my arm, and my hand was blistered, and my head had been the highest in the fire, and so it was all blistered too, and the smell and the smoke were just horrible. When I broke it, I heard my father-in-law and my daughter just scream. They only screamed once, but they had been crying a little bit before that, and that was, I think, her last breath.
What do you do in that moment, Karl?
I laid down on the ground and I thought, I'm gonna die here. I looked at the window, I realized it was too small. I was never gonna get out of that window. The heat was so bad, I couldn't stand up to get, I didn't even want to get, the window was 2.5 feet off the ground maybe or whatever. I couldn't get up that high to get to the window. I couldn't go down the stairs. My child had just died as far as I knew. I was ready to just go home to the Lord and give up. I laid there and thought, I'm gonna die. And as I did, the door to my left slammed, and I don't know if it was because of the chimney effect that I caused when I broke that window, or it was because an angel slammed the door, but whichever way it was, it slammed, and I heard a voice in my head say, if you go through that door, I've saved cold air that you can breathe in there. So I crawled over to that door, and I went through and I shut it, and I looked around and there was a window, and I opened the window. And I came back to the door and I opened it a crack. I didn't want another chimney thing, and I didn't want to go back and shut the window again now that I just got it open. But I mean, the window opened perfectly fine. The screen just fell out. And I yelled, I got an open window. I heard my wife yell across the landing that she had found one also. And I heard nothing else except for the fire just roaring up the stairs.
How have you coped with the emotions of being here when others aren't?
Yeah. Survivor's guilt is definitely a real thing. And thinking about what ifs could really run somebody into the ground, right? I mean, I could think, what if I would have held Lena's hand? Could I have saved her? Maybe I could have, I don't know. But I think some things that have helped me to be at peace with that have been just realizing that God could have saved all of them in whatever miraculous way He wanted. I feel like He saved me in a miraculous way by slamming that door for me. He could have, shielded them from the heat and the smoke in some other miraculous way, and He chose not to.
How do you have the stamina to get up today and to get up tomorrow?
When the sun rose the day after, I was surprised. Honestly, that's how it felt. Like the sun shouldn't be allowed to shine after that happened. I thought that after Joel died, and I thought it after my daughters died. There is a horrible hole in our house when I walked by and saw an empty bunk bed, an empty crib. It is horrible. But I've been given this day, and I will use it to glorify God. I am going to bend my knee to Him, and I will take what He gives me.
So that dark moment where you laid down under the broken window and chose to allow the end to come. Today, can you look back at that and say with great confidence that you are happy you got up?
I am happy I got up. I am glad to be here and have a chance to talk with you and to share my faith and hopefully to help other people learn about this hope they can have in their suffering. I know I don't suffer alone.